I have been able to identify 4 ways that we as parents are consistently, unintendedly sabotaging our relationship with our teenagers. I am coaching teenagers one-on-one in my office every day, and regardless of the teenager's situation and whether or not they get along with their parents, I consistently hear these 4 things from teens the most. Reason number 1 is that parents are always trying to fix the problem. Just picture this scenario. Your child starts telling you something that went wrong, and you go right into a rant about how you knew this would happen, or how they shouldn't be hanging out with such and such, or what were they thinking? So damaging in that moment. Even if the child is complaining or venting or feeling like a victim, they are looking for validation from their parent. That's where connection for a child starts. Why do you think they go to their friends to discuss their problems? Their friends validate them. That doesn't mean coddling them all of the time, but knowing when to lecture and when to just listen. Teenagers want to feel human and normal and know that it's okay to have a bad day. They want to come home and have a safe place where they can just vent and say the things that they are really thinking. But they know that with their parents, they can't do that because their parents are the fixers of all the problems. Parents want to know the details, and they want to call whoever is responsible for the problem. They want to tell their children how they could have done it differently. They want to investigate into what really happened and hear who said what and explain what could have happened instead, and use it as a teaching moment. And teenagers don't want that most of the time. In fact, most of the time, teens don't want their parents to fix their problems at all. They just want their parents to listen. And because they don't trust their parents to listen, they prefer to just not talk to their parents at all. Another thing that we as parents are sometimes not aware of is that we are killing the connection with our child by not understanding what they are looking for when they do decide to talk to us. I was recently working with a teenage girl and her mother. The mother was complaining that she couldn't connect with her 16-year-old daughter anymore, and the teenager was complaining that her mom never seems interested or listens without offering unsolicited advice when she tells her mom about her day. Her mom then admitted that she does struggle listening to her daughter because her daughter comes home and she's always so negative, and her mom always feels the need to either correct her or change the subject, or even ignore her. She said it was hard for her to always listen to her daughter complain. Her daughter sat in my office crying that day and said that she wasn't trying to be negative, but these are the things that she is really feeling and wants to talk about. But her mom doesn't take the time to listen. In my office, the mom listened to her then. She apologized and she agreed to work on her listening skills and promised to just be there for her daughter. Within 1 week, the daughter reported that her and her mother had a much stronger relationship, that she actually felt close to her mom. It's been a couple of months since that session, and the relationship is still going strong. All the daughter wanted was to be able to say what she wanted to say without her mother making comments or trying to fix her problems. Now, the second reason that teenagers are not talking to their parents is because they are unpredictable. Teens never know what to expect. It's almost like walking on eggshells. Sometimes they notice that if they do something they weren't supposed to do, their parents handle it pretty well, and they don't get the kind of consequence they thought they would probably get. And other times it's like all heck is broken loose and their parents go ballistic. And so teenagers are learning that it's just easier to not approach parents at all with anything because they don't trust the situation. They don't want to risk that they might get their phone taken away because they are not really sure. They don't want to risk being grounded or judged or having their parent be in a really bad mood, which will affect other things. They are just not sure what will happen, so they avoid it altogether. Even if their parent is usually pretty okay with the situation, if there was just one time that they weren't, the kids will not even risk going there. I tell parents that I work with, if your child does not know exactly how you will react to any given situation, then something isn't working with your parenting style. In order for your child to feel safe enough to talk to you, there has to be trust and confidence in what to expect in difficult situations. Time and time again, I hear from teens that I work with, my parent is unpredictable. The third thing I hear the most is that parents are inconsistent. And this does go along with being unpredictable, but it's a little bit different because what teenagers will say is that sometimes their parents can be consistent in the way they discipline, but then other times they're just not. I was working with a teenage boy who had very specific rules from his parents about the amount of time he could spend online on his phone. He broke that rule, and then he was really ticked that his mom gave him a consequence that he knew ahead of time he would receive. So when I asked him, well, if you knew, then why did you do it? His response? Well, the last time I did it, she didn't care, but then this time she took away everything. He was boiling mad and acted out even further due to his anger and what he felt was an injustice. So what we see here is a lack of boundaries and inconsistent consequences, and teenagers are confused. And what happens is that if they break a rule and then they get in trouble, they are really upset because they didn't get in trouble last time. Or maybe they did something that they thought was much worse last time and they didn't get a consequence, but then now they're getting in trouble for something that they see as so much smaller. And this really frustrates the child. And they live in this world that they have created in their mind that their parents are not fair and are inconsistent, and it just leads to more of that distrust in the relationship. Here's something that I want you to know. We rob our children of the opportunity to take responsibility for their behavior when we are inconsistent. A child will blame the parent for having dumb rules that don't make any sense when the rules are always changing, and they will not learn to take responsibility for their actions. Making decisions ahead of time about what the consequences will be will help to prevent our own inconsistencies. And the fourth thing that I hear the most from teens in my office every day is that parents are completely disconnected with what it's like to be a teenager today. They believe that their parents are trying to parent them and teach them and educate them based on their own life experiences, and that they are really out of touch with what it's like to be a teenager today. What it's like to go to school and to be them and to be experiencing other kids in today's world with technology and social media. That their parents are so out of touch, and also that their parents have such a need to be right that they are not willing to step back and really listen to what it is their child is going through in today's teenage world. And so whenever any of us has this feeling that someone else cannot relate with who we are, it disconnects us. And so what I am seeing is so many well-intended parents who have not figured out the formula for effectively communicating with their teenager. We want the best for them, and yet unintendedly, we are sabotaging our relationship with them. And so that is the question. How do we fix it? By recognizing that we, as parents, are doing it wrong, rather than constantly blaming our teenager as though everything that isn't working is because of them. We benefit from learning more about what they are experiencing as teenagers today, from understanding what their love language is and what helps them to feel safe and comfortable, to open up to us, and to let us know what would help them function better as they are navigating these difficult years. Ask yourself if you do feel the need to be right. Do you tend to jump in and try to fix rather than just listen? Are you unpredictable at times? If you answered yes to any of these questions, the good news is that you can fix it. And that's what we are here to do, to recognize where we can make adjustments so that we can better connect with our child.